Well, early this year, Zimbabwe's finance minister said the economy could grow by 6% this year, more than an initial forecast of 4.5%, due to the reforms being pursued by President Emmerson Mnangagwa's government. But what is the current state of Zimbabwe's economy currently? Joining us now is Welsh Sachi, investment analyst at Atria-Africa. Welsh, thanks so much for your time. I'm sure you've been paying attention to the developments there from your country. Very serious allegations of election rigging going on there. How are you receiving this news?
Okay, thank you very much. I think it has been an interesting period for us in terms of the elections. I managed to vote myself, but in terms of allegations and what has been happening on the political space in the background, I wouldn't know much. I think we are just waiting for the results to come in, and we'll await what comes on that.
But then, given the allegations that are being made by what some would see as a credible person, being the former Minister of Higher Education there in Zimbabwe, also science and technology development, he is saying that, in fact, we do have a situation where Nelson Chamisa looks like he might be cheated of a win. How would you view the elections? Would you still see them as being credible and transparent?
Okay, thank you very much. I think in terms of the political space that has been there, and in terms of how the political parties have been handling their political agendas, I think in terms of that, I think it would be good to see what the political observers would come out with, and I think that would contribute much to how the economy will go from now on, as we await reports from different observers. I think the EU is here, the SADC is here, and the observers from different political parties are there. I think it's always good to look at both sides, and in fact, there are no both sides. There are many sides of the story from different political parties. I think they will all come with their different conclusions on the election, and I think that will influence how Zimbabwe will go on forward in terms of the elections and the economy.
And I agree with you, because in terms of we've got lenders like the IMF or the World Bank even thinking of lending to Zimbabwe again. They need to be confident that due processes were actually followed here, even for you, and I'm sure the clients you advise that are looking to make investments in Zimbabwe need to have the same confidence. Where I'm sitting here today, it's very difficult to have that confidence. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think the period from November last year till now, I think it has been an interesting period in terms of inquiries from different investors from different areas of the globe. I think we have interacted with investors from Germany, from Mauritius, from South Africa, and I think inquiries are there. People know how the economy of Zimbabwe works, and they know the potential of Zimbabwe. And I think if we look at how the economy has grown, I think the World Bank even projected the economy to grow at about 2.7 this year, which is much optimistic from their initial projection of 1.8%. And I think Zimbabwe, we can see potential in it. So I think in terms of the reports from different observers, I think it will be good to see, it will be interesting to see what they come out with in terms of how the polls have been conducted, because obviously there is much that goes on behind the election being peaceful, and I think there is much to do with pre-election, during the election and post-election period, for us to have a conclusion on how the elections have been conducted.
I mean, Welsh, this wouldn't be the first time in which Zimbabwe's elections have, you know, not been entirely fair. We've seen it previously, but we've also seen business continue as usual previously, with some companies continuing to do business with Zimbabwe. Do you expect the same to arise this time around?
I think there's been much optimism in terms of how things would go, not in terms of how the elections would go, but I think even if you see at the bond notes rate, I think for the past period, I think the informal rate sometimes goes as peak as 80%, and just after the elections, we have seen it come down to around 60–70%, because people are saying although the elections would come, but obviously there's need for the ordinary Zimbabwean to put food on the table, and there's need for us to do business so that people can survive. So I think in the end, there's need for some calmness and for people to be optimistic in their economy. But in terms of the election, I think it's always good to look at what comes out and how people are going to take it. And also, as I reiterate, to say what the election observers would come out with would be critical in terms of them having an influence in what the investors would say is a credible election and how they would deal with it. Because I think different observers, if you look at the West, there are precursors in terms of dealing with a particular country, whereas if you look at other markets like the Asian markets, I think they have different preconditions as well that they look at when they want to deal with a certain counterparty. And I think that would be critical for different observers to come up with reports, and those different investors then look at them and say, do we want to deal with this counterparty or not?
No, Welsh, you make a very good point. We shall all await and see what SADC and the AU and all the other observers who have been closely monitoring that Zimbabwe election make of some of the things that are being said by various parties. Welsh, thanks so much for your time. We will leave it there. That was Welsh Sachi, investment analyst at Atria-Africa.